One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. Northern Illinois Athletic Director Sean Frazier is on One Question again, and we have a really interesting topic to bandy about today. We're recording this on the Wednesday prior to the college football playoff semifinals, which of course will kick on Saturday. And this is a topic I've been hearing a little bit about behind the scenes, and Sean's going to dig in on the opportunity, the potential, and a bit of the mechanics of how it could work for the group of 5 conferences to play a national championship game. And obviously there's a lot of moving parts here, so we're going to hit on some of the high level ones. Sean, I guess from your point of view, let's start with, as the athletic director of Northern Illinois in a group of 5 conference, why is there an opportunity, and what would the opportunity mean for your fan bases and the programs at the group of 5 level?
Well, Matt, first off, thanks a lot. Yeah, it's interesting to kind of to take a look at this. We've got a great product when you talk about college football, and just the veracity as well as the interest of college footballs out there. And just taking a look at our program and the investments that have been made for facilities, salaries, just everything that there's about football, all the different aspects, the financial issues, operational costs. You take a look at that and saying, my God, we definitely have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support that and to make sure that we're getting the most out of that investment as well. So take a look at the CFP, take a look at football and some of the things that are going on right now. We're just missing the most obvious component of this, which is a national championship for schools like us, group of 5, as they call them. And what I'm trying to do is to rack my brain on how can I sustain such a product where things like the NCAA legislation, when you talk about different costs and some of the other types of things that are creeping up, there's making pretty much impossible and non-sustainable to be able to compete with some of the larger institutions.
Yeah, so let's stick with the financial component here. And clearly TV is a piece of the story here. The rights around bowl games is a piece of the story here. Do you envision if there's enough momentum behind this push to create a group of 5 national championship game, is one of the key pieces of attraction for you what ESPN or Fox or any of the other players, NBC, of course, could be one as well, Turner could be another, would pay for this type of inventory? And talk me through kind of the system or the structure you're thinking as well.
Yeah, again, I just thinking outside the box here and taking a look at, I'm watching these bowl games, taking a look at what's happening in the New Year's 6 bowl games and some of the bowl games that we have, and we have a number of them, as you know. Taking a look at that and then trying to operationalize it. Now, there's no question taking a look at the interest level that college football has, and then taking a look at the financial. Now, looking at the TV partners is one aspect of that, but then the corporate component of this. There's quite frankly a number of folks that would love to have a piece of saying, quite frankly, that they're supporting a national championship. Right now we have the Access Bowl, Western Michigan from my conference, who's done a fantastic job. We've had a shot at that as well back when we played in the Orange Bowl as well. Understanding that, there's that component of it, having an access, but that does not produce a national championship. Some of the colleagues that I've spoken with and some of the coaches I've spoken with around this and competing for a national championship, there is support from a corporate level to be able to put their name on that, just like they do on bowl games. So to operationalize that, taking a look at an 8-game playoff or 6-game playoff or some type of playoff that includes all of the 5 conference champions, be it in my conference or in another conference, and then getting that in some type of round-robin playoff structure using the existing bowls, as well as the corporate money around TV and what have you. We would have one heck of a championship. And to be able to crown that championship, very much like the CFP has done for the larger institutions, we would have be able to stake claim that we have a true champion played on the field. Part of the interest of that is that if someone came to me and said, Sean, we're going to pay you X amount of money, in the millions or $1 million or what have you, and taking a look at that, I would have to take a look at that seriously. Quite frankly, some of our bowl tie-ins do not meet the expenses. We play in these bowls for the exposure for our student athletes, and I totally believe in that concept. But we operate sometimes at a deficit, sometimes just as a break even. And at the end of the day, we do not crown a national champion. So taking a look at that from a corporate entity or some type of TV support, you had mentioned a number of different operations that would take a look at that. I think it's important for us to put all that on in the mixing bowl and say, hey, if we can compete for a national title, if we can meet expense, we can fund and sustain finances, quite frankly, like we have done, like a lot of other institutions have done. I want to make sure I give my program a shot to sustain financially. And right now, based on all those different factors, I can't do that without supplementing finances to be able to support those programs.
Let's take this really all the way to the top and then work our way down a little bit. When you guys played in the Orange Bowl, or we can take Western Michigan as an example. Of course, they're playing in the Cotton Bowl in the Access game this year. How would you frame it to your president if the question was posed, Sean, would we get more exposure as an institution for our institution's brand through playing in a New Year's Six Bowl or being, I think, what did you go, 11-1 or 12-1 that year that you went to the Orange Bowl, or playing in this, whether it's an 8-game, a 6-game, a 4-game, whatever it may be, or playing in this group of 5 national championship tournament structure? How would you frame that to your leadership at your institution? And really the question here is, which one does give you more exposure? Now, we're only talking one school per year, but do you think there's the same potential exposure involved in being in a New Year's Six Access game and this potential tournament structure for the group of 5?
Well, I think that there's interest on both sides. We're not going to stop playing the Power 5 institutions. That model needs to be in place for a lot of institutions that are trying to supplement their operations. What I'm saying is that right now in the current bowl structure, we're barely meeting needs. Where some of us are not even making expense. These are games that are not meaningless. I'm a former student athlete. There's a lot of meaning to them. I'm trying to say that right now we don't have an undisputed champion of Group of 5. We have a committee that's done a fantastic job with our CFP to select the national championship for basically for the Power 5, not for the Group of 5. I'm saying that what we need to do is take a look at those elite programs in the country that want to compete on a national level. And I like to think in my mind and what we've done in our body of work at NIU that we want to be in the national conversation all the time, and we want to compete and play up all the time. There are a number of programs just like us out there that want to do that and who have invested financially into their programs. I'm saying that there's an opportunity with the Group of 5 structure of elite programs that want to compete for a national title, that they get into a structure that's funded with corporate dollars and the like, just like it's done at the college football playoff level, to be able to put this tournament together that could subsidize and, quite frankly, put the much-needed resources back into those programs so they can sustain the elite status that they currently have. And I'm saying that operationally, the exposure of this would be just as equal or greater than what we currently have right now. Right now, Western Michigan is going to battle Wisconsin. 2 great programs. It's going to be an unbelievable bowl experience in the Cotton Bowl. But at the end of the day, we will not crown a national title. What we'll see is that 2 programs battling it out to win a game. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great structure. I'm proposing that we all get in a room and figure this thing out. To take a look at a national championship that can fuel financial success for those programs that are in this tournament, so I can go back to my bottom line and my operational dollars so I can fund it and sustain it at the current level that it's currently being run at. I'm concerned with the NCAA legislations, things like cost of attendance, nutritional meals, and all these other things that are currently going on, that the gap is widening without sustainability. That is not fiscally responsible right now. So this is a way for us to take a look at financially how we can subsidize that and we can move this thing forward.
It's interesting to think of it in the context of if you labeled the Group of 5 as a subdivision of college football, it is the only subdivision of college football that does not have a national championship. If we took the Power 5, as you've mentioned, they generally for all intensive purposes have a national championship, of course. FCS has their national championship. D2, D3 have theirs as well. It also reminds me a little bit, and Michael Smith with Sports Business Daily, Sports Business Journal, proposed this probably a month ago alongside a number of leaders in the group of five, and that was the realignment of the Sun Belt and Conference USA, making more sense from a regionalized standpoint. And Dean Jordan from Wasserman kind of said, or maybe it was Chuck Ninus, one of the two said, this sounds great in a vacuum, but getting all these leaders, and speaking more about presidents, maybe more so than ADs, getting them all in a room and putting egos aside, yes, maybe this would make sense, but that's a really difficult thing to do. So in your view, creating a group of five national championship, how do you make that happen with leadership at that level?
Well, part of it is obviously this type of medium and communication, that we've got other people with pockets of interest. We've got investors sitting out there saying the same things and who are willing to come to the table. We have other entities that are saying, you know what, we really don't have this championship. I wonder from a financial standpoint, could it work? Yeah, there are a lot of self-interest. There are also a lot of private interests involved. I think it's time to talk about it. I think we have enough data to prove that from the college football playoff, as well as what we have done with the group of five institutions. Some of the institutions have done a phenomenal job in getting their programs now where they're more than competitive to talk about a national championship. And I also believe in our fan bases. Our fan bases in the group of five are fantastic. They are outstanding. I can only speak for my school and our 150,000 living alums in Chicagoland. I would say that the people would rally if we went into battle and that the outcome was going to be a national championship. That's a great thing. To also believe that there's conferences out there that believe that there's going to be a Power Six, or there's going to be some epiphany that's going to happen, and then there's going to be a conference that's going to jump to the Power Five. I think those are pipe dreams. I think what we need to do is to really believe in ourselves and our product and what we've done with institutions across the country with tradition-based programs, but to believe that we're going to jump into a Power Five and it's going to happen overnight. It's just not going to happen. And I don't want to poo-poo those dreams, but I also want to be able to believe that I have an issue with sustainability. I have an issue with making sure my program and the programs that look like us have the ability to compete at the highest level. And we're going to play a non-conference schedule with the Power Five, and we're going to make sure that we have the best of group of five on our schedule. But at the same time, playing for national title and having an entity come in to take a look at our championship, to be able to throw some resources to it, just like it's done at the Power Five level, I think is an exciting proposition. And no man or one conference or no one institution should dictate that. We should all come together in some type of way, have a conversation, have a level of discourse that, quite frankly, is meaningful, that talks about the resources now that are quite clear, that are out there, that's a sustainability model between the two groups, group of five and the Power Five, is not there right now. It's slowly, even further now, widening the gap, and everybody sees it. It's just who's going to step up now and move this thing forward.
I'm going to ask you to put your Power Five hat back on. You spent a handful of years at Wisconsin prior to NIU as the deputy AD. Is there any reason or reasons you can see Power Five leadership trying to stonewall this type of effort by if there was momentum by group of five leadership? Is there any reason the Power Five wouldn't want this type of engagement for college football?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that. It's a great question. If you're a football purist and you want good football, you want to be able to compete at the highest level, we're not taking anything away from the Power Five. I think that the schools are still going to be able to fill schedules and to compete at the highest level. What I'm talking about is an opportunity to monetize something that, quite frankly, from a financial standpoint, is just not sustainable. I don't think the Power Five would look at a championship at the group of five level and say that there'd be anything taken away, because right now we're not a part of that conversation. The top 4 teams are who they are. I think we have data points right now that shows that group of five schools to be able to get into that top 4 is just not going to happen, or it's going to happen very remotely, regardless of a non-conference schedule. And based on the body of work and the strength of schedule that is going to be needed to get into that conversation. So we have data points. We have things, quite frankly, that we can look at right now historically based on the CFP and say that, you know what, it's probably time to start taking a look at a group of five champions and taking a look at the Access Bowl and what that really means. Is the Access Bowl ever going to produce a national title for Group of Five? Well, right now in its current structure, no, it's not. Maybe that could be altered. Maybe that could be adjusted for that. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not very smart about that, to be upfront with you, Matt. But I will tell you this. This makes perfect sense on dealing with a financial sustainability issue. Right now, if you take a look at us, you look at the FCS, you look at the Group of Five, you look at the Power Five, something's missing. The obvious issue is the national title and also the financial resources that could be generated, because we're talking about some pretty premier programs in the country right now. And I like to believe in my mind, as well as our body of work, that we're one of them, that we could bring value to a national championship structure for the Group of Five, and it would be great TV, great football, and quite frankly, a lot of people would be very interested in watching that playoff.
So something that hits me a little bit is that we've got this window. We're sitting at 2016, almost 17. We know the next round of tier one media rights negotiations for the Power Five leagues, of course, will come kind of online in the 2020 to 2024 window. We know that the consumption of media is changing. Some people want to really go hard line on so much digital viewership. Other people look at the actual numbers and say maybe it's not going as fast on that direction as others want to believe. But do you feel like there's this window now where we need to have a serious conversation and move in this direction while the inventory and programming of college football, and we're seeing it right now, and we're just now hitting the glut of bowl season, and I read multiple articles a day about what ratings are doing for Army and North Texas, right? I mean, some interesting,
Yeah.
and they're doing great ratings. So is now, from a media consumption and the value of this content, is now truly the right time to have this conversation as well?
Absolutely. Reason why I'm talking about it, I'm looking at some of these bowl games. They're great games, but if you look into who's attending them, and you're looking at numbers there, we're struggling there. But when it comes to the media side of things, these are great games, they're great institutions, and quite frankly, just imagine if there was a playoff structure that was the underbelly of all this before the Power Five structure would happen. Do you see what I'm saying? And you can even go back to what FCS is doing right now. That's great football. I coached at the FCS level, and I will tell you, it's great football. I'm just saying right now, it's probably worth the conversation, because you're right. The interest is at an all-time high. The fan base, the quality of football is at an all-time high. Why wouldn't we have these conversations right now? There are entities out there. There are folks that are taking a look at this. There's people saying, why don't we have it? It's time to have a meaningful conversation, especially when we currently know from the NCAA legislation and what's currently going on with the Autonomous Five or Power Five and what's happening with us, with the Group of Five schools, our ability to control our own destiny with some of these widening gaps is really tough. And we know for a fact that those who manage budgets are looking at the gap getting wider and wider, and us not having a money tree in the backyard. I don't have one in DeKalb. I can tell you that right now. I will tell you this. The way to do that is to put resources back into your program, is to get into a structure where we have an opportunity to reap some of that reward, just like it is in the CFP at the Power Five level. So I think this is the time to have those conversations so we're ready, so we don't miss that curve. So we're not trying to say that, maybe down the line something will change. Well, the only way you change is as you get involved in the decision-making process. There's no such thing as standing still. You're either moving forward or you're moving back.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.